So
All right, we're going.
We're going. Okay, we're live. All right, so we're going to start with this eye. So this is my nose, this is my ear, so lateral medial. So that would be a left eye, like that. I can tell because of the bone. I can tell because my optic nerve is coming this way. I can tell because my superior oblique would go toward my nose and turn. So if I come back this way, we're going to name the outside stuff. So we have our palpebrae or eyelids in English. And then these corners are called the canthus or commissure. So this one would be the outside or lateral canthus. This would be the medial canthus. The bump, that's the caruncle. The lacrimal gland makes tears, which come down, sweep across, and then enter the punctum, puts it in the canal or canaliculi, into the lacrimal sac, down the nasolacrimal duct, which runs down to my nose. On the inside of my eyelids, this would be the conjunctiva, which is the lining, specifically the palpebral conjunctiva. Then it'd be one, of course this is missing it, there'd be one over the cornea, which would be the ocular or bulbar conjunctiva. So one sheet between those.
That's clear, right?
Yeah, it should be, you can look through it, it's clear. Then if I zoom in on this eye, or this one, so this one, this is medial, this is lateral. So lateral rectus, medial rectus, superior rectus, inferior rectus, and then the obliques. This is inferior oblique, superior oblique. This one's the opposite side because this is coming to my nose. So this would be lateral medial, the other way around. Then,
so the oblique on this, that's this white one, not a red.
So
okay, fine.
The red would be actually on your nose.
Okay.
And it sweeps around the tendon and grabs like that. So.
And the same with this.
Yeah,
that white thing is also an oblique.
Right, because the actual muscle is back here.
Gotcha.
So now where am I? Okay. So now we're going to start zooming in our layers. So the outer part you touch is the fibrous tunic. The fibrous tunic is made of two things, basically the white, which is sclera, and the clear, which is cornea. That's basically the outer layer. So if I pop those open, depending which model you have, it varies. This model is better than those in this regard. But the next layer in, which they're showing as these, this is the vascular tunic or uvea. On this model, it's the blue layer, because you can actually see it's the next layer in. Then the vascular tunic has several parts. The back part, this brown or this purple or this blue, is the choroid, which is the back of the eye. That layer comes forward and then forms this part, which is your iris on the outside, or the ciliary bodies and muscles, which are these bumps on the inside. That's all the middle layer, the pupil in the center. On this one, they do it this way, where you can see the yellow. But on this model, they actually show it, this blue becomes these. These are ciliary muscles processes which hold on to my lens with the iris. That's part of my middle layer. The orange, in this case, is my sensory tunic or inside layer. I can't get together. Sensory tunic with a feeling layer. So on this model, it'd be what's inside this or what's inside this. And that would contain the back, which is my retina, where my wiring is. That would then come forward and form the ora serrata, which is that scalloping edge you see there, or better, here. So that would be my fibrous, vascular, and sensory tunics. Then I'm going to name some cavities. So my lens is the dividing line between the cavities. So if I take this model and turn it, like this, put this back on. So if I look, the lens is my dividing line. So this back here would be the posterior cavity / segment. Everything from here to cornea would be the anterior segment / cavity. But then the anterior splits again. If you look carefully, you can really see it here. There's a hole here and one there around my iris. So between the lens and my iris is the posterior chamber of the anterior cavity. Between my iris and my cornea is the anterior chamber of the anterior cavity. And both of these are full of aqueous humor. And then all of the back is full of my vitreous humor. Then in the back, I have a few more things. If I spin this one this way, and I look, directly in the back center of my eye, right there, that depression is the macula lutea, which is the depression. The very center of that little dot, represents the fovea centralis. We'll talk more about that in lecture. The thing off to the side, this yellow spot, that's the optic disc or blind spot. That is where your optic nerve enters and leaves the eye. So on these models, that pinkish orange spot, that represents the macula lutea and the fovea. This is the optic nerve and optic disc. On this model, that yellow spot represents the macula lutea and fovea centralis, and this white spot represents the optic nerve and optic disc.
The fovea centralis is inside?
Is basically the center of the macula
Okay,
lutea,
gotcha.
basically. So on these models, they're essentially the same spot, but there's technically a difference. So the other trick to know is that the fovea and macula are always in the center. The optic nerve is off to one side. That'd be your blind spot there. It's just off center. And then, let me see. That's it.
That's it.
That's all
What
the
about
description.
cranial, or the nerves?
The nerves. So you have to know optic nerve number 2. That's the one coming out of the eye. Then you're supposed to know the oculomotor, abducens, and trochlea. And they drive different muscles. So if I put this one back together, so the easiest way to do it is learn the two weird ones, and then know the oculomotor is the remaining. The oculomotor is the majority of them. So the way I know it is the trochlear nerve runs the superior oblique, because that little, where it turns at your nose, is called the trochlea, meaning pulley. So if I look at this model here,
Oh, that's better.
it actually has an in situ. The superior oblique comes up and then goes through this little ring to go to where the muscle is. That's called the trochlea, literally a pulley. So the muscle's in my nose that pulls and goes through a bell crank to turn my eye. The trochlear nerve runs the trochlea,
That'd be even better.
which is here.
Thanks.
All right? So that's where the trochlear nerve runs. It's
Can
the
you
superior
point
oblique.
real quick?
Huh?
So he can get really close, because your phone was,
So
sorry.
this is the superior oblique operated by the trochlear nerve, basically.
Okay, because that one was really hard to visualize.
Yes.
Let's see.
Then the abducens nerve abducts your eye.
Oh.
So remember,
Abduct.
Nice
remember last term, to abduct is to
To
pull
pull
away. That's the lateral rectus. That's going to abduct my eyes, spin my eyes
Pull away.
out. Everybody else is oculomotor. So
So is it
oculomotor
under
does.
that?
So basically, if you're not these two, you're oculomotor nerve.
So is it like the nerve like within, like this
It'd be
looks
back
like
in
a muscle.
here.
Oh, okay.
It'd be coming in. So they don't show the nerves on this model, other than the optic nerve.
Oh, okay.
But the way I learn is learn the two exceptions, and then everyone else is number 3. So the not oculomotor does the majority of your eye movement, and the majority of the eye wiring just doesn't do this or this.
So it doesn't move laterally and doesn't move it
Kind of
cranky.
that.
Right.
Yes. So that's how I remember them. Is the oculomotor is the major player. Yeah, but none of these models show the cranial nerves to the eyes. All it shows the optic nerve.
Right.
The cranial nerve, you'd have to get a brain and stick a brain on it.
What's on the back of that?
This is your optic chiasma. So the optic nerve comes in, and that's where number 2 does that fork.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Just
okay.
didn't show the other half. We'll learn that in
That's a
lecture.
nice
But that's where
image
the
of that.
So the other one would be right over here, just like it.
It's even on the drawings and the diagrams. It's like, what?
Yep, the
Yeah, I
chiasma. That's that
know.
thing just
Can't
under
see
your
it.
pituitary
Yeah.
or above your pituitary. And that's most of the eye.
That's it?
That's
Thank
it. Other
you.
than